And you talk to these guys in the locker room after, and obviously it was just a despondent, sad locker room. Ooh. Joe Tracy just looks like he's about to break down into tears, says that I'm baffled another dozen times. That's the kind of confidence that you want to see in a coach.
Some players saying, I was trying to break it up. Some guys were doing it,
Even some UCLA players themselves were brawling, kind of pushing and shoving each other. And Randall Carroll really had a very telling quote to me. It's something that says, I think, a lot about the state of this team's mindset. And he said, not everyone was enthused, not everyone was into the game, ... as usual.
Yeah, that's not a good as usual.
That's not a good as usual, Sam. So obviously UCLA falls in just a laugher, 48-12. We'll run over some stats, and I want to leave the most important stat to the end, Sam. Arizona 32 first downs, UCLA 15. Arizona 573 total yards, UCLA 323. Arizona 319 passing yards to 286. First downs, third downs. Another spot that UCLA has just been dreadful in for going on 4 years now. 10 for 16 for Arizona, 2 for 13 for UCLA. And then the big stat that I don't think anyone projected. Facing the number 119th out of 120 rushing team in the country in Arizona, UCLA is outrushed. Boom. 254-37. Unbelievable.
We've been over this in the car. Trust me, it's been a long drive.
Yeah.
And I said to John earlier, if you reverse those numbers and show them to me pregame, I'm saying that's UCLA in a big win.
Yeah, exactly. And that would have been the whole story had that happened. Forget the fact that Arizona wasn't running the ball well. 37 yards against any team is impressive. 37 yards against a team with a running identity. Running identity.
Well, that
is shocking.
That kind of gets me to my next point, which I took one big thing away from Coach Newhouse's press conference last night, and when he was asked how did it spiral out of control so quickly, he said that our offense is not one that lends itself to being behind, to playing catch-up, basically. Which just struck me as like, well, you're not going to win the toss every game. You're not going to get the ball to start every game. Your cornerbacks are giving 7 yards of cushion to all their opposing receivers. Yeah. If you have to be ahead for your offense to work, it's time for a new offense.
Yeah, and this fallacy, this absolute logical fallacy that UCLA has a great running game is completely false. UCLA has a good running game. There are times when it looks really good, but a great running game scores from 5 yards out almost every time. Much less doesn't get stopped on 4 consecutive downs against Stanford, no matter how good the Stanford defense is. A great running team is able to say, at any point, we're going to be able to run up the middle or on the sidelines. Okay? And UCLA wasn't able to do anything in the running game. Jonathan Franklin had a fumble. I mean, you look at the stats.
Their two most impressive offensive plays, maybe their two only offensive impressive plays, came on a screen and a throwback.
Yeah, and Kevin Prince, he's been obviously much harangued as a quarterback at UCLA, and some could argue for good reason. Three interceptions against Texas is pretty tough to swallow for UCLA fans, but
he missed some balls last night, but he didn't lose them.
He didn't lose them the game. With 17 for 35, for 286 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions, took 2 sacks. I think really, looking back on all the decisions that Rick Newhouse has made, and you go back, and there have obviously been a bunch, and there's a ton for any head football coach, but so he hires
to hire the defensive coordinator,
which we'll get into. He hires Norm Chow, and first you hire Norm Chow, and you would say to anyone, kind of in their right mind, you'd say, okay, we have Norm Chow, just let him take over, and it's going to be his offense. He's going to decide everything.
That's what Utah's done.
Well, okay, Utah, we're going to but that's that is what you would expect a team to do. So instead of that, he muddles with the offense, and eventually, in year 3 of the program, he switches it to the pistol, which is only being run by one team in the country in the WAC. It's not like an SEC team is running the pistol and having success against Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Florida, all that. It's Nevada being able to run against San Jose State and Hawaii. Okay, so UCLA
undersized teams.
Yeah, so UCLA then lends itself, gives itself over to the pistol offense. Okay, that's one thing. Forget about if it was premature. Forget about how bad the offensive line was last year. Forget about any of that kind of stuff. They hitch their wagon to the pistol offense, and it's not working. Doesn't that mean you have to change?
It does to me. I don't know if he doesn't want to do it in the middle of the season or what, but it could mean his job.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And what else could mean his job is the defense, as you said. I'm speechless. I don't know.
You and I were talking in the car ride, and I said, John, if I'm an offensive coordinator, I have a 5-yard out against UCLA anytime I want it.
Let's put it this way. If Sam was quarterback and I was wide receiver, emphasis on wide, if that is the scenario, I have no doubt I could get a 5-yard out on any UCLA cornerback. And the reason why is not because I have the closing speed of an antelope. I have the closing speed of an elephant. It's because there's no one in the vicinity. They're not even in the same picture. If you took a freeze frame of the opposing offense versus UCLA, they're not even in the picture.
And to me, that's the story on third down because they're getting 6 yards. They're getting 6 yards on first down.
Every time.
It becomes 2nd and 4, then it becomes 3rd and 1.
And I asked Joe Tracy about it in the locker room after the game, and what did he tell me? Sometimes we press, sometimes we don't. When one guy is pressing and the other guy is off 8 yards, that's not pressing. You have two physical cornerbacks, Sheldon Price and Aaron Hester. I'm not saying that they're the best in the world, but you're trying to tell me that those guys who are both 6'3", who are both, Aaron's a little stockier now, Sheldon's kind of getting up there. They're physical wide receivers.
They're much better than the scheme is making them.
Yeah, and that's shocking to me. And once more,
you can say that on the offensive side of the ball too.
Yeah, very little. I'm trying to find the defensive stats, and here we go. Very little pressure. Once more, UCLA ended up with 1 sack, and it was almost kind of a coverage sack because Cassius Marsh kind of just walked into the guy against just an extremely poor, offensive line that just lost almost everyone.
Marsh has accounted for like half their sacks this year, and he won't be doing it again for 2 more games.
2 more games. UCLA just had 6 tackles for loss against just one of the worst rushing offenses in the country. I mean, it's shocking.
You have to be in the backfield.
And at this point, we have no answers. I have no answers. All I can tell you is and the last thing I want to chat about, because we've gone on way too long, and I'm sweating as usual.
I need to order 3 more Big Macs.
Do you need to?
Go on.
Do you need to even order a water?
Continue.
Sam, at this point, this is kind of what I asked you earlier. Is this systemic? Is this an indication of where this program is because of 1,000 different reasons? Or is it because of one bad performance? And the question I have that leads off that question is, it starts in practice, it starts in a mentality, it starts with meeting rooms, it starts with accountability. Does UCLA have any of that right now?
If this were a one-time thing, Washington State wouldn't have thrown the ball for 300 and something yards, even though they lost. Or Sean Mannion wouldn't have looked like an all-pro quarterback at times.
Yeah, and let me cut you off. I was talking to Dan Guerrero after the game, and he said really something interesting to me. I said, Dan, in any of the 7 games, I don't care that UCLA's 3-4, in any of those 7 games, has UCLA played well? Has UCLA played to the level that you want them to play in any of the 7 games? That includes wins over Oregon State, wins over San Jose State, and win over Washington State. And Dan Guerrero said, no, it's not at the standard I want, yada, yada, and he went on the spiel. And all I could think of is, really, they haven't played well in any game. And this is New Isl's make or break year. And they've just looked extremely bad in almost every single of those 7 games.
I talk to UCLA fans every day, and they're like, we had that one good series in that one game. It's like, if you're hanging your hat on series, it's time.
Friends was a good series. You need more than a good series.
Yeah.
This isn't NBC. They can't just rely on a single good series. Okay?
Obviously.
Well, you're a Clooney guy, aren't you? You're a Clooney guy. I can see that little smile. But Sam, last thing I want to go over is lack of discipline, lack of all that kind of stuff. People keep talking about, getting Mike Leach, as the next. I don't think that'll happen. Getting Mike Leach. They talk about maybe getting Chris Peterson from Boise State or Mike Bellotti, the former AD at Oregon, the former coach at Oregon.
Luring Urban Meyer away from ESPN.
Urban legend. No way. Okay. They talk about all that kind of stuff. If it's my call on the head coach, I'm hiring a Catholic nun. I'm hiring Sister Mary Clarence from I'm hiring the old mean nun from Sister Act to whip these guys into shape because
I'm hiring Mike Leach dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hello. It's a shocking lack of discipline from a team that needed to have discipline against Arizona, and they did.
But bottom line is, players always say this. The only thing they can do is get ready for Cal, and we'll see if they turn it around next week.
All 49 of them now?
All 4 receivers.
Yeah.
So
That's gonna be rough.
A little scary if one of them gets injured.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching Two Fat Guys from Indio at a McDonald's. Are we just gonna end up filming all these at McDonald's from now on?
We might as well.
I mean,
got a long drive ahead of us.
every time we're either going to McDonald's or coming from McDonald's, so I might as well just do it there.
4 more McFlurries. Let's do it.
Stat. Guys, thanks so much for watching. John Gold, Jonah Hill, Sam Strong.
Chaz Bono.
Still alive or no?
I don't know.
Sam.
I stopped watching. I'm still going to be in for Halloween, though, so come by and trick or treat.
How could you...
I've been covering UCLA.
I'm like counting down the days into Jonah Hill's new Fox show, Alan Gregory, and you're not even watching Dancing with the Stars starring you?
They're all on my TiVo.
Are they?
Yeah.
Please tell me that's true.
I got them racked up.
Do you actually?
I'm ready. When we get home, I'm gonna watch.
Is this dead serious or no?
Yes.
Oh shit. That is absolutely hilarious, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Check it out, InsideSoCal.com/UCLA.
Join us next week.